Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Awesome Chrome Extensions. This session is part of a free series of webinars offered by the Cohoes City School District in upstate New York. I'd like to welcome all the people who are joining me live today or who are watching the recording in the future. My name is Jen Sangiacomo, and I'll be your presenter. I am the Instructional Technology Integration Specialist here at the Cohoes City School District. Please feel free to connect with me during and after the webinar. All the information for this session can be found at bit.ly/ccsd004. If for some reason bit.ly is blocked for you, then you can go to the other address you see here, which is the Cohoes Professional Learning Page website. And from there, you can find this webinar as well as any others that have been done in the past under the recorded training sessions. I'll take you there now. And before we begin, I'd just like to point out a few resources for you. This is the live video, which will become the recorded video. You'll also see a slideshow link for this session, as well as some other resources. So for every extension that I'm going to show you today, there is a link to access that pretty quickly. A little bit further down, there is a live session chat document. So if you're in this webinar live today, right here, go ahead and open this up. That's a way that we can all communicate during the webinar. If you have a question, a comment, or a suggestion, just type it in there, and I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on that document during our session. So if you see a question in the document that you have an answer to, feel free to put it in there. If you can get to it before I do, help each other out, share some resources if you think you have a good one, and when the session ends, I'll update the document with answers as needed. Below that, there is a short session evaluation. So after this webinar ends, I'd really appreciate it if you could just take a moment and give me some feedback and help me improve these webinars. And finally, you will find a link to the session quiz, which will be made available when the live broadcast is finished. Give me a few minutes when the webinar ends, and I will go ahead and link in the quiz. That allows you to earn a certificate of attendance for one contact hour that you can turn into your school for PD credit. While you're on the site, if you get some time later, feel free to check out some of these other resources that are available. All right, so I think we're ready to get rolling with today's session. This is an extension on Chrome extensions. So we're going to talk about what an extension is, how you go about getting them, and then how to use them. The heart of this webinar is going to be devoted to showcasing some of my favorite extensions. So if you're watching live today, you haven't done so already, again, go ahead, open up that Q&A chat dot, because not only can you use it to ask questions, I'm hoping you're also going to use it to share extensions that you like and ask questions about if there's an extension that exists for a particular purpose. So let's start with a quick overview on extensions. An extension, it's just a plugin that you install into your browser, and it adds useful features or functionality to your web browser. So more simply put, it extends the capability of your web browser. These are Chrome extensions, so these are extensions that are just going to work in the Google Chrome browser. To get an extension, you do need to be logged into Google Chrome, and once you are, the extension can be installed from the Chrome Web Store. And there's a couple ways to access that, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. Once you install an extension, it is going to appear in your extension bar. I have it visual right down here, and that's to the right of your address bar. Some extensions, they function on their own just by being installed. They'll run automatically, but for others, you might need to click on the icon in your extension bar to use them, and we'll talk about that later as well in the webinar. So we're going to leave the slideshow, and we're going to go to the Chrome Web Store. Before you navigate there, and I will show you how to do that just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, make sure that you are in the Chrome web browser, because after all, this is the Chrome Web Store. It's not the Explorer or the Firefox Web Store. And you also want to make sure that you are signed into Chrome. So if you see this icon right here, as like a little person kind of icon, that means that you're not logged in. So you're going to click on that and press sign in, And once you are logged in, instead, you will see your first name there. So there are a few ways you can get to the Chrome Web Store. You can click on the link if you're in the slides presentation. It'll take you right there. I also included a link on the sessions resource page. But pretty simply, you can just go to Google and search Chrome Web Store, and that site will be your first search result. So if you're on a desktop or a laptop PC, another option is underneath the address bar. You'll see a rainbow colored waffle that says apps, looks just like this. And if you click on that, you will see an icon that says Web Store. So I'm just going to click on the link in the presentation. And you're going to notice a few things on this site. The main part of the screen is just taken up by a list of popular extensions. If you hover over an extension, you'll see a very short description of what it does. What you're going to use most here is the search box. Below that, there are some search filters so that you can narrow your search down by category. You can see here what you would want to use it for, and also rating. You'll also see an option on my screen that says for-cohoes.org. If you're tuning in and you belong to a different school district, it will say for and whatever your domain name is called. Extensions can be installed by teachers, but most Google admins do not allow students to install extensions. So the for-cohoes.org, if I click on that, that's going to show me all the extensions that are whitelisted, which means they're extensions that have been approved for students to add to their Chrome accounts without permission. So before we really get into what my favorite extensions are, I'd like to do a quick demo and show you how you're actually going to go and install an extension. So let's just say that I'm looking to be able to get a definition for a word that I come across online, and I don't want to have to open up a new tab to look up the word. So I'm basically looking for a dictionary type extension. So I'm going to go ahead and type in dictionary, let it auto-populate for me. And my search results, they show me extensions, and they also show me apps. Sometimes you'll see themes and games there as well. I just want to see extensions, so I can either click on More Extension Results, or I can just click over here in Extensions. All right, and you can see that I have quite a few options here, and it can be overwhelming because which one's good? I don't know which one to pick. So what I recommend is, first thing, start with ratings of 4 or up. These are ones that are tested and people say that they work. So just over near the rating section, I'll just click here. So I'm only going to get extensions that will probably function for me. But from there, sometimes you just have to pick one and you have to read about it. So this one looks like a good one. When I open it up, features, and I can just decide if it's worth installing. And they're really easy to install and they're really easy to delete. This particular extension, according to this, it's going to allow me to look up a word from a web page. There's also some images, and sometimes there's videos that illustrate how the extension will actually work. Notice up here, there's a tab for reviews if you feel like reading them. This one's pretty cool. This is a support tab, and that's great because you can contact the developer of the extension directly with suggestions, questions, or let them know of any glitches. So should you decide that this extension might work for you, what you would do is you would just add it to Chrome by pressing this blue button. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Again, you want to make sure that you're using the Google Chrome browser, and you also want to make sure that you're logged into the browser. So I see my first name here, so I'm ready to roll with this. And the reason why you want to make sure you're logged into the Chrome browser is that when you install that extension, it's going to install on your Chrome account. So no matter what device that you're on or where you're accessing that extension, you're going to be able to get that. So it won't just be I don't have to just use this device to use it. Any device I'm on, as long as I'm logged into my Chrome, I can access my extension. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to Chrome. I need to enable it. Okay, so okay. And you'll see that the icon for that extension appears over here in my address bar. Sometimes in order to install an extension, you're going to have to grant permission. And in some cases, you might have to log into the extension with your Google account. This one is a pretty simple one, so it doesn't require anything extra. And you'll see now that this blue Add to Chrome button is now green, and it shows that I've added it. So let me just show you this extension in action. This isn't one that I particularly use, but again, I'm just demonstrating how you would go about using an extension. So I'm going to pull up this site right here. And when I hover over the extension, it directs me to select a word on the web browser and just click that extension. Not all extensions have directions like these. Sometimes you're going to have to watch the tutorial video, or you're just going to have to learn it on the fly. So I'll go ahead and select this word, origins, with my mouse. And I'm going to click on the extension and watch what happens.
Origins.
All right, so you'll see the extension is actually going to pronounce that word for me, which is pretty useful, and it gives me a definition. Click out of there. Let's say I downloaded this extension and I no longer want it. This one functions well, but maybe I just don't need it. So to do this, I'm going to go to my Chrome settings. And there are, like with Google, there's multiple ways to do something. I can right-click on the extension and I can remove it. But I just want to show you this. If I click on these three vertical dots, under More Tools, I have access to view all of my extensions. And this is every extension that I've downloaded to my Chrome account. And you'll see that I have some options to enable or disable. By clicking the Enable box, I'm just basically adding the extension to my toolbar. And by making it disabled, I'm removing it from my toolbar. This isn't going to delete it from my account. Sometimes it's a really good idea to disable extensions that you're not frequently using, because running too many extensions can slow your browser down. I'm hoping with all the extensions I have up here, we're not going to have any problems today, but I think we should be good. If I did want to permanently remove an extension, all I have to do is press the trash icon. So this is the one I just installed. And notice if I click on this box, it now is no longer in my toolbar, but I still have it. If I click on the trash can, I'm asked to confirm that I do want to remove it, and I do want to for this one. And now it's gone. You may notice that some of your extensions have a building icon next to them, like this one. And what that means is that these are extensions that have been installed by your IT department, and that means they cannot be disabled or removed by you. They're critical to operating your system. All right, so now that you know how to install an extension, I want to get into some of my favorite extensions. And because our time is limited, I have pre-installed these extensions. So I'm going to be working from these extensions that you see here in my toolbar. If you have access today to two devices, it might be really helpful if you use one to watch the webinar and then the other to experiment with some of the extensions. If you want to install an extension that you see here on your account, you're going to have to go to the web store and install them, as I just demonstrated. Just reminding you, on the session resource page, I included a direct link to download each extension that I'm showing you here today. And since all my extensions are installed, I am set and ready to go. So when I click on them, I'm going to be able to use them. You may have to go through some additional prompts after you install them that you're not going to see pop up on my screen because you haven't configured the extension yet. And this just might be in accepting permissions or linking the extension to your Google account. But you are guided through these steps once you install the extension, and they're usually pretty quick and self-explanatory. If you're finding that it's way too distracting to watch my demonstration in the webinar and also you kind of play around with the extension, remember that you can always come back later and watch the recorded version of this webinar on the session page, and then that way you can pause the video while you experiment. And also, I don't get paid to promote any of these extensions, and besides that, they're all free. These are just ones that I've used and I find to be worthwhile. So this first one I'm going to show you today, it's not super exciting, but I think it's super essential if you're going to be installing a lot of extensions. And that one is called Extensity. Kind of looks like a little like yin yang symbol right here. And I'm just going to click on that and show you. This allows you to quickly enable and disable your Chrome extensions. So without having to go to your settings and go to more extensions, this is great to use if you have a lot of extensions running in your toolbar, because remember, disabling your extension helps your browser to run faster. And plus, if you're a little bit of a neat freak like me, it keeps your toolbar clean if you don't like seeing a lot of things up there. Using it is pretty simple. You just click on this extensity icon in your toolbar, and you get to view all your extensions. If you see an extension ghosted out, that means that it's disabled. So here's one tab. Right, if I want to re-enable that, all I do is click, and you'll see it come right here in my toolbar. If I click on it again, it's now disabled. I have access to it here, but it's not taking up space or running in the background. All right, and you'll also see you can launch any Chrome apps that you have installed right from there as well. All right, the second one that I'd like to show you is print-friendly and PDF. I'm sure we've all been in a situation where we wanted to print something for ourselves or our students from the web, and then when we went to print, the document was dozens of pages long because there's ads and links and a lot of other needless content. Well, print-friendly and PDF, that extension is going to help you with that problem. So I'm going to go to an article here. Right. And you can see that I have some pictures here. There's some ads. I mean, I don't want this stuff to print. So I'm going to use this extension to clean up before I print it, because besides making it easier to read, it's also going to save paper and save toner. So let's say I wanted to just print this article without cleaning it up, because maybe I want to give everyone in my class a copy. If I go to print, this tells me it's going to be 6 pages of paper. So a class set might require a lot of paper. And like I said, you can see that there's things on the page that really don't need to print and take up paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this out. And to create a more print-friendly version, I'm just going to click on the print-friendly and PDF extension. And once there, you can see I have quite a few options up top. One of the first things I can do is take images and I can make them smaller so they take up less space. Or just go ahead and remove them all together. I can adjust the text size if I want. Let's say I have some kids with some issues with seeing text. I can make it a little bit larger, or I can save space by making it smaller. And what I also like about this extension is it allows me to edit the document before I print it. So I can remove any content that I don't want to be displayed by just clicking on it. And you can see it's cleaned up the ads for me automatically, but there's some things here that I don't need. So all I do is hover over and I can just delete. And if I make a mistake, I can just undo. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit further. And when the document is to my liking, I have a few options. First, obviously, I can print it. And when I go to print, this is now down to 2 sheets of paper, which I could go back to back with and save on, save paper. I'm going to cancel that because I'm not going to print right now. Save the document as a PDF if I prefer to share it electronically with my students, or I can email it to my students. Unfortunately, this email is not going to include the shortened article. So if you're trying to get a clean copy to your students, the first 2 options are going to be the more useful ones. Let's see, before we move on, let me just take a quick peek at the chat doc. I don't see anything in there. And again, just a reminder, you tuned in late, if you're already using extensions, you can use the chat doc, which is on the session page, and you can just share the name of an extension that you love. If you ask, is there an extension out there that does XYZ, the answer is probably yes. So if you are wondering if an extension exists for a specific purpose, feel free to go ahead and ask that question here if you wish. All right, so moving on. If you are not already using it ad block for YouTube is one extension that you're going to want to install and you're going to want to make use of right away. I'm sure at some point you probably went to show a YouTube video to your class and you were inconvenienced by the commercial you had to watch prior. Sometimes you can just skip the ad after a few seconds, but other times you're forced to watch the entire commercial before being able to show the video. And in some cases, these pre-roll advertisements, they're not really appropriate for kids to be watching. And then even after you get past that, once you finally load your video, messages or pop-ups, they appear on the video, and they can be very distracting. So if you're tired of these things happening to you, then ad block for YouTube, this is your solution because it removes ads from YouTube. So once you install and enable the extension, you're going to be able to prevent any of these pre-roll advertisements from being shown before your video plays, as well as any of those in-video annotations, which are those annoying pop-up messages that I find myself playing whack-a-mole with as my class is watching the video. So before we see this in action, I'm going to go to a video. You may have seen this. I love this video. And I'm going to this ad block for YouTube. You can see I don't have this enabled. So let's see what it looks like without the extension.
For kids, Halloween candy it's a sacred thing. For a lot of them, it's the first time they ever earn anything. So a few years ago, we had an idea for a massive prank that parents could pull on their children. I asked parents to pretend they ate all their kids' Halloween candy, record video of their child's reaction, and upload it to YouTube.
All right, so in this case, an ad didn't play prior to me loading this video, but you can see that I did have these little ads that are coming up throughout the video. So to prevent this, I click on the ad block extension, and I'm going to check off ads and annotations, which means that I do not want to see those. So watch what happens when I go ahead and refresh this page.
For kids, Halloween candy it's a sacred thing. For a lot of them, it's the first time they ever earn anything. So a few years ago, we had an idea for a massive prank that parents could pull on their children. I asked parents to pretend they ate all their kids' Halloween candy, record video of their child's reaction, and upload it to YouTube with the title, "Hey Jimmy Kimmel, I told my kids I ate all their Halloween candy."
All right, so you can see those pop-up ads that were there before, now they're not there. And you can notice below the video, you might have seen that it let me know that the video was cleaned up using the extension. Unlike some of the other extensions that I'm going to be showing you today, this one runs automatically. So you don't have to click on the icon to use it unless you're trying to change the settings. So as long as my settings are like this, anytime I play a YouTube video, I'm not going to see those ads or annotations. So you can see it doesn't matter what age level or what content you're teaching. This is a great extension for any classroom teacher to use. All right, the next extension is in the productivity category. It's called Tab Cloud. And again, as a reminder, if you're joining late, you can access links for each extension that I mentioned here on the session resource page, which is found at bit.ly/CCSD004. Under the YouTube video, on the live webinar, there is in the session description, there is a link to this page. Tab Cloud is really awesome for teachers that are traveling between different classrooms or buildings, and it's also useful if you're sharing a classroom with another teacher who needs to use your computer. Sometimes you have multiple tabs open, you're logged into several different sites, and then someone needs your computer, you have to log off, and then when you log back in, you have to manually open each page back up again. And depending on the number of tabs you had open, this can be pretty time consuming. What Tab Cloud does is it allows you to save all your open tabs, and then you can restore them at a later time, either on the same computer or on another computer. So seeing this in action, if I want to use this extension, I just click on the Tab Cloud icon, and you're going to see this is my current window that I have open. It doesn't name it for me, but it tells me the icon. So you can see up top I have a Drive tab open, a Slides tab, a YouTube tab, and then this Google Sites tab. So to save your session, I'm just going to name it. I'm going to name this 9/25/17. That's today's date. And then I press save. And you'll see here's my save session, appears below. Now to restore this session, all I would do is if I log into any other computer, or maybe later in the day I'm coming back on the same computer, I go to my saved sessions, and this green button right here will open right back up for me. So to prevent that from playing. And
you know, for kids, Halloween candy it's a sacred.
And you'll notice that when they open back up, they open in a new window, and that way I don't lose what I'm already working on. I can restore basically any session, anytime, and from any device, as long as I'm logged into the Chrome browser. The red button, if I click on that, that would delete any previous sessions. So it's kind of like a page bookmark of whatever it is that you're working on a particular day. And you can see this is going to save you a lot of time if you have to share a computer or if you're traveling between buildings. And I use it a lot at the end of the day to help me pick up where I left off when I get back into work the next morning. All right, next one is Meeting Bird. It's an extension that falls under the productivity category. I just recently heard about this extension and installed it at the beginning of the school year, and I am using this almost daily. So let me go to my bookmark and show you how this one works. With Meeting Bird, what it allows you to do is it allows you to view your calendar, your Google Calendar, and then schedule meetings directly from your Gmail. So right now you're looking at a message in my inbox from someone who wants to schedule an appointment with me. Before I installed the Meeting Bird extension, I would have to open another tab, go to my Google Calendar, find a time before I could even reply to this person. Now that I've installed the Meeting Bird extension, every time that I open my Gmail, the right part of my screen displays my calendar automatically. So G is wondering if I can meet anytime afternoon on the 26th. So now I can just navigate to the day in question right here, and I can see when I'm free to meet. I can toggle between day view, which I'm in now, or week view, and you can see day view is a better option because it takes up less space, but I like the ability to scan farther ahead and check out when I'm free the rest of the week. And the other really nice thing about having my calendar appear in Gmail is that I can also schedule the appointment without having to leave Gmail. So to do that, all I need to do is click on an empty time, and you'll see that the topic and the date and the attendees, they're automatically pre-filled based on the email that I just read. So I can change those if I want. I can fill out a few additional details. Longer than 30 minutes. We'll just change the appointment length. And you'll see that G staff is listed under the attendees. So when I save this event, that person's going to get an email unless I X them out of there. I can put in a location. I can put in a description. But when I press this schedule button, the event's going to appear on my calendar, and G is also going to get a calendar invite as well. All right. All right, so let me show you one more thing. Go to the inbox, and I'm going to go to this email. If someone emailed me that they no longer needed to meet with me, I can also cancel right from the message as well. So I'm canceling the appointment on the 26th. So this is, an email I sent to myself, obviously, but they want to cancel. So all I would do is click on the meeting in question, and I can delete it right from there. And there are a few advanced functions here too, like you can send others a link to your schedule, you can share your availability, and these are pretty useful features if you're someone who schedules a lot of meetings, or if you're a teacher looking to find a more efficient way to schedule parent conferences. And I'm not going to get into that here, but once you get comfortable using these basic functions of Meeting Bird, you can definitely play around with these advanced ones. Regardless, even if you're only using these basic functions, you can see this is going to save you some time going between different tabs. Right, the next extension is for those that are looking to be able to work with their Microsoft Office files. A year ago, my district made the switch to Google for Education, and there's still a lot more people that are more comfortable working with Word and Excel and PowerPoint. And while you can upload these Microsoft Office files into your Google Drive, in order to work with them, you have to convert them to the Google version of those files. And in doing so, we know that sometimes what happens is that the formatting is lost because Google and Microsoft, they're not 100% compatible. So things like text transfers over pretty well, but special formatting like formulas and charts can become a complete mess. With the Office editing for Docs, Sheets, and Slides extensions, you can now open these Microsoft Office files right from your Google Drive, and you can even edit them without having to convert them. So this is the extension right here. It's Office editing for Docs, Sheets, and Slides. So let's take a look at how this works. There is a course syllabus that I made in Microsoft Word, and I uploaded it to my Google Drive. I don't need to click on the extension in order for it to work. Since I see the extension in my toolbar right here, that means it's enabled. So any Microsoft file that I open through Gmail or Drive is automatically going to open with this extension. So watch what happens when I open this document. So in the past, I used to get a prompt that I should open this document with Google Docs. I was only able to view. But now this extension is kicking in and it opens it in Word for me. So you can see right here, this isn't in Google Docs, it's in a Microsoft Word format. And up above the document, you can see some of the editing features I can utilize. So I can make edits directly to my document. So I want to change my school year here to 2017, 2018. And you can see my work, it's saving automatically as it would if I were working within Google Docs, and it's saved in Word format. Now there are a couple drawbacks with this extension I just want to make you aware of before you get too gung-ho about it. You're not going to see all the editing options that you would see if you're working with Word, like inserting text box, for example. Still, with this extension, you can make some basic edits to your documents. And also, I can share this file with others if I'd like, just like I would another Google Drive file. However, at this time, there's no way to give someone edit or comment access without converting the file to Google Docs first. Despite this, the extension, it's still pretty useful if you're trying to get comfortable with Google Docs or you want to work with an Office file online without losing its formatting. All right, the next extension, okay, is for all the math teachers out there. I did not forget about you. It's usually the math teachers that are, a little bit hesitant to start using Google, and you can't really blame them. Writing math expressions digitally has always been pretty slow and labor intensive, and that's until now. They're the company that creates Read and Write. You may have seen that purple puzzle piece icon in your toolbar. They just released the Equagio extension this past spring. That's what it looks like right here. And what this extension adds the ability to create math equations and formulas easily. You don't have to learn math code, and if you're a chemistry teacher, it can be really helpful for you if you're typing in those tricky chemical equations. So you can see I'm not a math teacher, so I'm kind of doing the best I can here. Here's an in-progress math worksheet that I started to make unsuccessfully in Google Docs. And you can see I was trying to type in x squared, but it wasn't really quite working out for me. So I'm going to let Equagio help me out here. I click on this extension, little work area pops up for me here at the bottom of my screen. And I already said not today. Here it is. I'm going to go ahead and retry typing in question 1 using this equation editor. So I wanted to do x squared, and using these icons over here, see the format, and now I have the ability to type what I want. So x squared plus 2 equals 6. And again, these symbols will help me with my formatting here. And when my equation looks how I want it to look, I just click insert the math. And it inserts as an image. So I can move it down here. Then I can delete my original typing. And now that's what I want it to look like. There's an even easier way to type the math using this extension. So I'm going to use the speech input function to redo number 2. So I'm going to see if this works while I'm recording the webinar. So the speech input is this microphone right here. And so I tried to type in pi r squared equals x, but I didn't know where the pi button was in docs. So you do have to have a microphone to make use of this. But I can speak the equation, and Equasio will turn it into what I'm saying, hopefully. And we'll see if it works. Pi r squared equals 100. And I stop because I'm done. And you can see Equasio just turned what I was saying into a clear, accurate on-screen formula here. And this looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert that math and delete my original question. You can see that's pretty simple. There's also a handwriting option. Now with the free version, unfortunately, you can only handwrite 2 equations per day. But I'm going to show you how this works because I think it's pretty cool. I go to my handwriting recognition, and let's say I want to type in that same equation, but I can't. Instead, I can use my mouse, book, I can use my touch screen, and there recognizes my handwriting. So then if I'm ready for that, I can insert the math again. So if you're teaching high school math, this is a game changer because in terms of the time, it's going to save you. It's going to allow you to bring your assignments into the 21st century without all those headaches. So you can handwrite in functions, you can speak in calculus type equations. And I mean, you can only imagine how much easier it'll make it for you and for your students in trig or calculus. They would also have this extension. So the free version that I'm showing you, right now it only works in docs. The paid version, it's going to allow you to type your math expressions into forms, slides, sheets, and drawings as well. And there are some additional features that come with the paid version, like unlimited handwriting recognition and also prediction, where you can just start kind of typing what you want, and it will predict the math that you're trying to type without you having to press any buttons. When you install this for the first time, you can sign up for a 30-day trial, and then you can get full access to all of the features. And if after seeing this, you're thinking, I gotta have it, you may want to do the trial and then show this to the powers that be, because getting district access to this is surprisingly affordable. All right. So this next one is Awesome Screenshot. As you know, creating a tutorial or an explanatory guide, it's best done using visuals like screenshots. These are the pictures that we take of our screens so that we can share with others or include a visual demonstration of how, for example, a process works. Sometimes students, even adults, they need visual cues because it helps them with their understanding. Screen capturing, it makes sense if you're creating images for test items, manuals, presentations, or just directions. An Awesome Screenshot is an extension that's going to help you do these things. It allows you to capture what you see on any web page. Could be a Google Doc, could be YouTube video, just any screen you're looking at online. And anything you choose to capture is turned into a canvas that you can annotate. So once you're done editing the screenshot, then you can save it as an image and you can copy and paste it if you want. Taking a screenshot, it's easy, and editing it is super fun. This is an image I want to capture so that I can edit it. And with the Awesome Screenshot icon, you can notice up here, it looks like a camera lens. I can quickly screenshot anything I'm viewing in my browser. So when I click it, I do get a few options. And I prefer to capture the visible part of the page and then go from there. It's kind of less wonky. So I will capture the visible part of this page. And you get this nice toolbar at the top of the screen. You can crop the image, so you can get rid of the space you don't want to display. I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay. There's a pen so that you can write, but I can also use the A icon to type. So I'm going to use that to label this diagram. System. And notice here I can change the color, I can change the font, what I'm writing. All right, I can move my text around wherever I see fit. And I can also annotate this using shapes and arrows. So maybe I want my kids to pay attention to this bottom rung in the feudal system. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that bottom rung, draw an arrow, and maybe I want to label this one serfs. I can do that. And again, really easy to change the font here. So maybe I want to make that black, make it a little bit smaller. Oh, that's too small. That's better. All right, and in the toolbar, you also have some other options, like there's a highlighter option. So I'm highlight this if I want. I can change my highlighter color up here. And if, let's say you took if you're an English teacher or a social studies teacher, you took a screenshot of a reading passage, you could use the highlighter to make key vocabulary or key ideas stand out. There's a new feature added earlier this summer called Blur. Looks like a teardrop. So let's say you were screenshotting your gradebook or sample student work that had some sensitive information, and you didn't want you wanted people to kind of see a demonstration, but you didn't want them to see that important information. You could quickly blur that out. So I'm going to blur out the word serfs, and you'll see what it looks like there. And again, there's no need to do it here, but just wanted to show you. And if I want to undo something, there's just a quick undo button. Or of course, I can clear it and start from scratch. So when you're ready to save your image, press done. And a few things to point out on this screen. You can re-edit this screenshot if you want to. So if it didn't come out exactly how you wanted, you can go ahead and do that. And while you do have some buttons here to save it or copy and paste it, I find they don't work that well. So instead, what I would tell you to do is, if you're looking to save or copy this picture, right-click and go to a Save Image As or copy it directly from here. You can also, by clicking on More Options, you can save this image directly to your Google Drive account. And of course, you'd have to link those first. And screen capturing, it's a great activity to have your kids do. You can have students capture an image, they can annotate passages, they can explain their work or label a map. There's really a lot of possibilities, and this is a great way to give your students the opportunity to create and to show their understanding in a non-traditional way. Right, and the other extension that you should find beneficial for both your own use and your students' use is screencastify. This extension provides a way to capture and share videos in seconds. Awesome Screenshot has a screencast option as well, but screencastify is my go-to if I want to make a recording. And right now, it's the #1 installed screen recording extension from the Chrome Web Store. So unlike a screenshot, the screencast, it allows you to narrate and actually show what you're talking about. It's incredibly easy to screencast using the extension. You do need to have a microphone, and let me show you a quick example. Science teacher, and I just had my students create a presentation on a disease, and I want them to share their presentation with me so that I can collaborate with them and add some comments so they can make changes before they present to class. The problem is a lot of my students, they're new to Google and they might have forgotten how to share and give me access. So I can just make them a short screencast. To do this, all I would do is click on the screencastify icon, which looks like a film strip. Come up here. I'm going to choose desktop. The reason why I do that is it will record anything that I'm doing on my screen. So if I did choose to go to another tab or go to any other website and opens up a new tab, the screencast is going to follow along with me. I can check my audio options and I can see my microphone is turned on here because when I talk, I see the sound indicator changing. If I uncheck the system audio box, any sound that originates from my computer will not be recorded. So like things like mouse clicks, and if maybe there was a video or ad playing in the background, that wouldn't be audible in my video, but I'll leave that on. If I want, I can set up camera access, and that would be if I wanted my students to see my face, so it would work like a webcam. For right now, I'm not going to do this though, but if you are leaving your students video instruction to be played when you have a sub in for you, it's a pretty cool feature to have. So when I'm ready, I will press record desktop, and then I select the screen I want to record, and I'll get a 3-second countdown. And from there, it's go time, and when I'm finished, I'll stop sharing. So let's see how that works. Go to record the desktop. It asks me, what do you want to share? So this is what I want to share. And I'm going to get that countdown, and then I have to go.
3, 2, 1.
Hi kids, in case you forgot how to share your presentation with me, just want to remind you, you're going to press this blue share button up in the corner of your presentation. Type in my email address, JSANGIA, it should appear for you right there. And make sure that the pencil icon is on. That means I'm going to be able to edit and leave comments on your file. Right, and if you could, please uncheck this notify people box so I don't get a bunch of emails. When you're ready and your screen looks like this, press OK. And now I'll be able to view your presentation. All right, so now I'm done. Kids, in case you forgot how to share your presentation with me, just want to remind you, you're going to press this blue share button. Right now my screen recording opens up and it starts to play for me. So I'm going to press pause. I press pause so you didn't have to hear me and hear my screen recording. And this is a 43-second video, and it's pretty helpful. Keep your screen recordings that you make for your students. If you can, less than 90 seconds is ideal. Studies show that they kind of tend to tune out after that. So just keep it short and sweet and to the point. Obviously, if you're flipping content or doing unit review, you might have to have a longer video. Some people suggest breaking up your content into several shorter videos. As a heads up, with this free version of Screencastify, you're limited to 10 minutes per video, and you can have up to 50 recordings per month. So I'm going to name my video. It's always a good idea. Name it Sharing Instructions. And notice on the side, this recording has automatically been saved to my Google Drive. So I can either copy this link and I can post it online, or I can email it to share with my students. Up top, I also have the option to download the video to my device. And there's another option here that allows me to publish my video directly to my YouTube channel. So if you have set up your YouTube channel, like I have, with the press of a button, this video will automatically add to my channel and it will be searchable depending on whatever my privacy settings are. So why would you want a screencast? I mean, you can see there are a lot of possibilities here as well. First, it's really useful if you want to demonstrate a process for a student that will serve as a tutorial. If you're a math teacher, let's say you know there is a particular question on tonight's homework and students are going to have a problem with it. You could put together a really short video that explains the process or shows the process, and you could put the link to the YouTube video on the math homework so that if a student's at home and they're struggling on a particular question, they can just review the content and get the help they need instantly. You can use it to flip your lessons for absent students. So if you did a presentation in class, you could make an abbreviated screencast of it during your prep, and then you could share that video online. And then students who were absent, they could either watch it from home, or students who were in class, they might want to access it too because they might want to review the lesson. You might also want to make a screencast. Let's say you're reading student work, they wrote a DBQ. You could actually record yourself editing and peer reviewing their essay, and then you could share that recording with them. So they're actually, it's like they're meeting with you, but they're not. It's pretty useful to have the students make screencasts as well. If the students have this extension installed, which they do at Kaho's, they can make screencasts and they can demonstrate their understanding of a process, or they can explain their work. Again, a lot of possibilities here. Moving on to the next extension. This is one I use frequently as well. Down. Just want to make sure I'm not clogging up my memory here. All right. Some of you have probably heard of link shorteners, and link shorteners are really helpful if there's a website that you want to share with your students, but the link is way too long for a student to type in. And sure, you could post the link online or you could email it, but sometimes you just want to share something out instantly. In the past, I used to use the goo.gl link shortener, but then I came across Bitly, and I like it way better because it allows me to customize the look of my link. So let's say it's the end of class and I want to use a survey that I made in Google Forms as my check for understanding piece. So this link right here, it's obviously way too long and also too small in font for my students to be able to see that and then type that in themselves successfully. So all I would do is click on, here's my Bitly extension. I would just click on this in my extension bar. Right, and I'm ready to roll here with this extension, but like I mentioned before, if you're installing this one for the first time, you're going to be prompted to sign up for a Bitly account. It is free and you can sign in with your Google account. Mine's already configured, so this is when I click on it, this is what I see. And I want to draw your attention right here to this customize box. I can send this link right here just like I would with the other link shortening services. But you know what's going to happen. You're going to send this out and kids aren't going to pay attention to the case sensitivity. And even for little kids, this is probably too much for them to type in. Or, you know, they're going to have to look up and down quite a bit. With Bitly, I can essentially brand the links I share by just changing the back half of the link. So I'm going to change this to my name, San Giacomo, and this is a check for understanding, and it's from 9/25/17. So when I save this, here's a custom link, and I can put it on the board. Anytime I do a check for understanding piece, I can keep the same naming convention, so students will get to know the link is always my name and the date for our check for understanding. Up above, I can also copy this link to paste it into a presentation, an email, or just on Schoology. I can also share it directly to my social media accounts or using email. And another pretty cool feature is if I go directly to my Bitly account, I can get some statistics on my created links. I can see how many times the link I created was used and when. So if maybe I said, hey, tonight's homework is to go to bit.ly/San Giacomo homework 1, and then tomorrow morning I log in to my Bitly account and I see only 2 people check that link, I'm coming into class already kind of preset that most of my kids didn't do their homework. Right, and of all the extensions that I'm showing you today, this one probably has the biggest wow factor. It works way better than the shortened links. It doesn't rely on the kids typing anything. It's going to save you some time. It's going to help you make a more interactive class. And before we get into it, there is one criteria to be able to make use of this extension. You have to have a class set up in Google Classroom or be part of a Google Classroom. So if you're already using Google Classroom, you're going to absolutely just love this. And if you aren't a Classroom user, you might just want to set up a class in Google Classroom just to make use of this feature, even if you don't plan on using Google Classroom at all. And this extension is Share to Classroom. And the appeal of this extension is that you can get your class on the same web page instantly. So if there's a website you're looking at, a YouTube video, a Google Doc, you name it, you can push it out to your students and that site will open up in a new window on their device automatically. So sure, you could use a bit.ly link, but it still relies on the students to have to type in the link. And at the elementary level, sometimes it's really not an efficient use of class time to have students be doing this. With Share to Classroom, I can push any web page to my students instantly. There are a few requirements I want to go through though. One, students have to be logged into the Google Chrome browser. And obviously they have to be a member of the Google Classroom class that you select, that you're going to push this site to. They have to have the Share to Classroom extension installed on their account. So heads up, if you're listening live, I had added you to a Google Classroom and the first assignment was to install that extension. So if you haven't done this yet, try to get this extension right now. That way you can see how this one works. I'm going to stall a little bit here, try to buy you some time. For your information, this extension can be pushed out to all student accounts by your IT department so that it's already installed and ready to roll. At Cahoes, all students already have this extension installed on their Chrome accounts. What I'm looking at right now is today's session evaluation, and I'm going to show you how I would go about pushing this out instantly to you. So anyone, again, if you registered for this webinar before today, I added you to my Google Classroom mock class. So if you're watching this live and you happen right now to be logged into Chrome on your device, and you have the Share to Classroom, which is like the chalkboard icon right here, installed, you're going to get to see the result of this. So here we go. I'm going to click on this Share to Classroom extension. And I'm going to select the proper class, which is Webinar Mock Class. And when I press this Push to Students option, everyone that's in this class that has their Chrome browser open right now and is logged in, this is going to pop up on their screen within the next few seconds. So if you're watching the recording, you're just going to have to take my word on this. But those watching live, feel free to comment in the chat doc or next to the video if this worked for you. But what you should have seen is that this session evaluation popped up in a separate window on your device. I guarantee that your kids, they're going to think this is awesome. And you can also teach your students to push their work to you. So if they're working on something and they want you to see it, they can send you an alert if you allow them to. With the Share to Classroom extension, if you are a Classroom user, you can also use this to create an assignment or start a discussion right from this extension. So instead of basically having to go to Google Classroom and create the assignment, I can create an assignment from any Google Doc or web page, and I'm going to get all the same options that I would normally get as if I were in Google Classroom. So again, time saver there. All right, and looks like we have time for one more. Google Cast for Education allows you to turn your computer into a wireless projector for screen sharing. So that means that anyone else that's logged into the Chrome browser, they can share their screen directly to your device. In my district, teachers are using this to share what's on their Chromebook to the classroom computer, the one that's connected to the projector. That way they can kind of move around the class and work on their Chromebook, and they are not tied to standing in the same spot when delivering their instruction. This extension can be used to engage kids as well. If you've seen a student who has done exemplary work or comes across something interesting online, you have them cast their screen to your device and share what they're doing in class. Let me go to something here. So when you click on the Google Cast extension, it's going to open up and it's going to prompt you to give your device a name. I suggest naming your receiver with your last name and your room number so it's recognizable to yourself and the students. And press save. And then you'll get this pop-up, who has access to this. Right now, keep it to yourself, but if you want to add students or coworkers to it, you go ahead and type in their email addresses. And I do recommend leaving this option as can request. If you give the option to present, that means they can just patch into your screen automatically. With can request, you'll get a pop-up that asks you if you would like to display someone else's screen on your device. So I just keep that as present. All right. I realize that the most important step here is how are you going to share your screen? Once your receiver is set up from any other device, what a student would do, and it's tough to show you guys this between two devices, is they would click on these three dots here from their whatever screen they wanted to share, and they would press cast. And what they'll see is any receiver that's in range. So right now, I don't want to cast to my own. I could cast to another device. And I also have the option here next to cast tab. Do I want to just cast this one tab I'm looking at, or do I want to cast my whole screen? So I'll just keep it to cast tab. And I would just select which device I wanted to cast it to. Now, showing this the other way around, I'm going to go to the Q&A doc on another device. See if I can get my receiver, launch my receiver here again. And I'm going to, from another device, try to cast my screen over here so you can kind of see what it would look like. And I'm not sure if this is actually going to work while the Hangout's in session, but it is. What you'll notice is now my screen is kind of taken over by the other screen, and it will display what's on their screen. So pretty cool. And at any point, either that device can choose to stop the cast, or as the teacher, I can stop allowing access by pressing X. If my receiver is not open, no one can cast to my device. So I guess first step here is you want to open up your receiver by clicking on this extension, and then make sure it's named and it's ready. All right. This is pretty cool, again, giving your students the forum to kind of share their screens in front of class. So with that, we're now at the end of our session for today. Taking a quick look at the Q&A, and someone, Kim, told me that the Share to Classroom extension works, and she thought it was pretty cool. I'm not seeing any other questions or resources in there, so I'm assuming and I'm hoping that the content was pretty clear. As we wrap up, I'd just like to remind you that all the resources from this session at bit.ly CCSD004. And again, this is the page where you're going to find the recording to this webinar, and below that you'll see the session resources, the live chat doc, and the evaluation. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to add in a link to the session quiz. You can take that right now, and you can earn a certificate of attendance for today's webinar. Again, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you're coming away with new knowledge about extensions, and you found some extensions that are going to help you improve your daily workflow and your instruction. There are a lot of amazing extensions out there for a variety of purposes, and the best way to find them is search the Chrome Web Store for the functionality that you want, or search for articles online that feature Chrome extensions. Reach out to me if you need support or more details. I look forward to having you join me again in the future for other upcoming EdTech webinars. Have an awesome rest of your day.